Didn't want to start without you.
All right, let's go.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to open the regular meeting on Monday, December 10th. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Councilman Stitt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Father in heaven, we give you thanks for bringing us to a close of a year, as this marks our last regular meeting. We are very grateful and thankful for the blessings that you have given us this year, for the work that we have done, and for the promise of what you give for us in 2013. Please be with this council. Allow them to make wise and just decisions tonight. And please be with the men and women serving our country, both here and abroad, both in the homeland, that you be with them and their families at this special time of the year. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman. And as I look, we're all here on the dais. And just to confirm, we have Councilman Barber out there. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Welcome. So there are no communications tonight. So now is the time for a citizen who would like to address the City Council on non-agenda item. And I see I have one person, Sherilyn Holman. Sherilyn?
You know, normally I wouldn't take the time to do this, but we have one person on the dais who's very disappointed if I don't rise to the occasion. Thank you. I promise not to take very much of your time. I know you have a full slate this evening. But Mayor and Council, I just wanted to comment on how excited the neighborhood at Parc de Paz. I live, as you know, in northern subdivisions. And thank you, Wally. Thank you, Joe, and those of you who advocated for that wonderful addition. Selfishly, I can now get to the park from any one of the four corners, which is delightful. And I pretty much go every day. But I want to let you know what it looks like on a Saturday morning or an evening about 4:30 at Parc de Paz. You will find at least 8 to 10 children playing on the playground. And you will see a small girl perhaps at the place where she can pretend she is cooking and doing things in the kitchen. She's stirring and pounding. And right beside her will be a young lady that's pounding on the drums and making great music to whatever tune is going through that head. But it is so well planned out that you can see they're exercising their upper body, they're exercising their lower body, and they are going around it. If you know what you'd have maybe to be there to see it. But I just wanted to let you know, thank Nathan and the parks crew for the wonderful, wonderful job they have done and the pride they are taking in keeping that park to its potential. And it's a source of great pride. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sherilyn. Well, let's give you a hand. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on a non-agenda item? We're calling out for non-agenda item. Okay. So we'll go on to the consent agenda. Will the city clerk please read the consent agenda, items A through L, by title only?
Item A, approve draft minutes of a regular meeting and a special meeting held on November 26, 2012. Item B, approve the final plat for Estrella West Sunward Drive, subdividing 3.6 acres into 17 tracts, generally located east of West Star Drive and south of San Miguel Drive in the amended Planned Area Development District for Gulf Village parcels 5.1, 5.3, and 5.5 A and B, subject to stipulations. Item C, approve the final plat for Estrella Parcel 5.3, subdividing 22.3 acres into 78 single-family lots generally located east of West Star Drive and south of San Miguel Drive in the amended Planned Area Development District for Gulf Village parcels 5.1, 5.3, and 5.5 A and B, subject to stipulations. Item D, approve the final plat for Estrella Parcel 5.5, Phase 1 in Gulf Village, subdividing 29.7 acres into 85 single-family lots, generally located east of West Star Drive and south of San Miguel Drive in the amended Planned Area Development District for Gulf Village parcels 5.1, 5.3, and 5.5 A and B, subject to stipulations. Item E, approve the final plat for Estrella Parcel 5.5, Phase 2 in Gulf Village, subdividing 33.68 acres into 82 single-family lots, generally located east of West Star Drive and south of San Miguel Drive in the amended Planned Area Development District for Gulf Village parcels 5.1, 5.3, and 5.5 A and B, subject to stipulations. Item F1, adopt resolution 12-1528, declaring as a public record those certain documents filed with the city clerk and entitled Policy 1, Employee Policy Administration, Policy 200, Employee Compensation, Policy 300, Employment, Policy 600, Attendance and Leave, Policy 700, Professional and Personal Conduct, Policy and Mediation, Discipline and Appeal Process, Policy 100, Employee Safety and Health. Adopt item F2, adopt ordinance 12-1278, amending Policy 1, Employee Policy Administration, Policy 200, Employee Compensation, Policy 300, Employment, Policy 600, Attendance and Leave, Policy 700, Professional and Personal Conduct, Policy 800, Mediation, Discipline and Appeal Process, Policy 1000, Employee Safety and Health as an amendment to the City of Goodyear Policy and Administrative Guidelines Manual of 02/01/2000. Oh my gosh, babe. Can't see it. 2012. 4, sorry. And all of a sudden I can't see. Item G, adopt ordinance 12-1279, amending Article 3-2 of Chapter 3 of the Goodyear City Code relating to the City of Goodyear, meet and discuss, meet and confer process, providing for repeal of conflicting or inconsistent ordinances, rules, and regulations, and providing for an effective date. Item H1, adopt resolution 12-1524, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk titled Amendment to Article 8.1 Peddlers of Chapter 8 of the Goodyear City Code. Item H2, adopt ordinance 12-1274, amending Article 8-1 Peddlers of Chapter 8 of the Goodyear City Code, providing penalty, severability, and an effective date.
Item 6I, approve the acceptance of the dedication of the utility easement from KB Home Phoenix, Inc. and Arizona Corporation for placement of a traffic signal at Saraville Avenue and Portland Street. Item 6J, approve the issuance of a utility easement to Arizona Public Service Company for the digital marquee located at Interstate 10 and Bullard Wash. Item 6K, accept the non-exclusive sewer line easement from the Flood Control District of Maricopa County, a municipal corporation and public subdivision of the state of Arizona district as required for the existing sewer line. Item 6L, number 1, adopt resolution 12-1522, declaring as a public record that certain document on file with the city clerk titled Amendment to Article 8-4, Escorts and Escort Bureaus of Chapter 8 of the Goodyear City Code. Item 2, adopt Ordinance 12-1273, amending Article 8-4, Escorts and Escort Bureaus of Chapter 8 of the Goodyear City Code, providing for severability and an effective date.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Does anyone on the council would like to remove? I'm sorry, did someone raise their hand? Okay.
Yes, Mayor. I would.
Okay, and which one is that?
I'd like to remove item J.
J, okay. Do you have a question on it, or?
No.
Oh,
I'd like
okay.
to vote on it
Just- all right.
separately. Thank
Okay,
you.
fine. Anybody else?
Just a comment on F
I'm
and
sorry, comment on what?
on F,
F is in Frank,
and since she's already dealt with J, just a question on J. But
and a question on J. Okay, anybody else?
I'm with it. I have a statement, or not a statement, but a comment on F.
On F? Would you like to make that comment and wait till
We'll wait. Councilman Pizzolo's first.
but we're, F is only a comment, we don't have any removal. Roy, can I let him make the comment on F, and yes, why don't you go ahead and make the comment now on F, and we can vote on that one.
first, I appreciate for the audience that wasn't here last week. We had a very detailed work session covering all of these policies that are before you. But I do appreciate the changes that you had made regarding the patents or copyrights that somebody, an employee may have that they do on their own outside of the work environment. I appreciate you changing that language that gives them some rights on that. So I saw the incorporation, and I thank you for that.
All right, great. Well, then I'd like to have a motion. I'm sorry.
I had similar appreciation for protecting both the city's right and the employee's right, and I know that was a difficult bridge to try to cross, so I really appreciate everybody getting that done.
All comments finished? All right, like a motion for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, K, and L. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Loretano. Open for discussion. No discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Barber.
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp.
Aye.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, so the one we have in question is J, is that correct? All right. So could we have a presentation on that? Is that what we'd like to have?
I just
Asking
had
people who asked.
I just had a question.
I just wanted to vote on it separately. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get a motion for it, and then we'll have you discuss it. Could I hear a motion for J in a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Stipp and a second from Councilman Loretano. Open for discussion on J.
I think there's just a
All right, Joanne, you, and, all right, we'll start with Councilman Pizzillo.
And it's a discussion I had with the city manager, and I just wanted to get it on the record because when I had gone down and I saw the billboards, it was my understanding that there was a frame that was going around those digital billboards, kind of dressed up, City of Goodyear, and it's my understanding that that's still coming, but I want to know the time because there's some in the audience that saw that and may think that that's the final what it's going to look like. And it's my understanding that's not the final what it's going to look like. So if you could just give us,
If you could give us a
date on
schedule,
that,
because you sent me that schedule.
I would appreciate it.
Correct. Mayor Lord, Councilman Pizzillo, Councilman Osborne, if that's the concern, there definitely is a decorative pole cover that goes around the base structure, the pole beneath the billboard. And that should be installed within the next 2 weeks at the very outside. That was tied to the turning on of the billboards and the testing and to make sure that the equipment was operating properly. And then the pole cover is placed. And it's a similar decorative design to that which you see in our right-of-ways, the Goodyear monument sign, if you will.
So we saw a drawing. Is that
Correct.
Is
It is the very
as the drawing
same. Yes,
stated?
that is
Okay.
actually in the contract, that design.
Great. Okay, thank you. All right, then we're ready. Yes. Councilman Stipp.
I don't have a question, just a statement. I'm the first guy to call out government hypocrisy and say if it's not, if we shouldn't do it, etc. However, and I voted against the digital billboards. However, we own them and they're ours. So I do intend to vote, obviously, in favor of this evening. But I wanted to point out I'm not being a hypocrite.
Oh. I'm sure the public appreciates that. Any other question while we have staff up here? All right, I guess we're ready for a roll call vote then.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Nay.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
Passes 6-1.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to the business section. Amend various articles and sections of the City Goodyear zoning ordinance. We will now consider to conduct a public hearing for amending various articles and sections of the City of Goodyear zoning. So, open for public hearing. Joe Schmidt to present. Joe?
Mayor Lord and council members, good evening. This item is a series of proposed text amendments to the zoning ordinance to modify certain sections, to clarify and prescribe various review and approval processes, clarify the applicability of certain standards, and to add and revise certain definitions. During the review of the zoning ordinance to comply with recent state legislation, Senate Bill 1598, pertaining to the review processes and timeframes, it was discovered that additional clarity was needed regarding some of the city's current processes and practices. There also have been organizational changes that needed to be reflected in the ordinance. This item was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission at the regular rescheduled meeting of November 14th and was recommended for approval by a vote of 4-0. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I can provide to you if you want, but you saw it during the work session, so I'll not bore you with it a second time.
We're good. Thank you very much.
Stand for any questions.
Yes, thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this subject? All right. Then I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read Resolution 12-1520 by title only, please?
Adopt Resolution 12-1520 declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk titled Exhibit A, Amendments to City of Goodyear Zoning Ordinance.
Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Stiff and a second by Vice Mayor Osborne. Council discussion? No discussion? Oh, one question. Councilman Pizzillo.
Not a question, more of I appreciate you addressing the water issue, especially putting time limits on there so we don't create a problem by locking in all the water demands and not being built. So thank you.
Any other? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay. Now, will the city clerk please read Ordinance 12-1271 by title only?
Adopt Ordinance 12-1271, amending various articles and sections of the City of Goodyear zoning ordinance, providing for corrections, penalties, severability, and an effective date.
Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bill Stipp, motion and second by Vice Mayor Osborne. Council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
All right, the next public hearing is to consider amending various sections of Chapter 15 of the City Code. Open for public hearing. Joe Schmidt to present. And Joe, are you talking about the revision at this time with this?
Yes, I will, Mayor Lord.
All right.
Very much similar to the zoning ordinance amendments are certain amendments that we're proposing to the subdivision regulations. As with the zoning ordinance, we are proposing amendments to modify certain sections to clarify and prescribe various review and approval processes related to preliminary and final plats, clarify the applicability of certain standards, and add and revise certain definitions. As with the zoning ordinance, the subdivision regulations were reviewed with respect to compliance with Senate Bill 1598, and we found that certain processes needed to be clarified and certain changes were in order to match current practices. There's also been organizational changes which are reflected as well in these proposed amendments. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this and recommended it for approval at its regular rescheduled meeting on November 14th by a vote of 4-0. I did want to point out that since the publication of the agenda, we did have a couple of more minor revisions to make to Section 12 of the resolution, 12-1521. We found that subparagraph F5 needed to be moved to the at the end of paragraph E. We added some language to paragraph E to clarify the city engineer is authorized to release lots for building permits once adequate improvements have been constructed. And the title to paragraph F was changed from phasing agreement to phasing plan to match what was contained within the balance of the paragraph. And we also revised it to change the authority for approving a phasing plan for the construction of required improvements within a final plat from the City Council to the City Engineer. So we would ask that you consider adopting the resolution with these revisions as recommended by staff.
So whoever makes the motion needs to add that to their motion.
To the motion for the resolution, that is
Okay,
correct.
so whoever does that, recognize that. All right, thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No.
All right, anyone in the audience wish to speak on this subject? We're closing the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read Resolution 12-1521 by title only?
Adopt Resolution 12-1521 declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk titled Amendments to Chapter 15 of the Goodyear City Code Subdivision Regulations.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion, and with that motion, to read that addition? Do I hear a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 12-1521, declaring a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk titled Amendments to Chapter 15 of the Goodyear City Code Subdivision Regulations, with revisions to portion of Section 12 of Exhibit A to the resolution, which revised paragraphs E and F of Sections 15-4-6 of Article 15-4 of the subdivision regulations.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh.
I heard the motion from Councilman Stipp with the addition, and also a second by Vice Mayor Osborne. Open for council discussion? No discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Mayor Lord,
Aye.
passes 7-0.
Thank you. Will the city clerk please read ordinance 12-1272 by title only?
Adopt Ordinance 12-1272, amending various sections of Chapter 15 of the Goodyear City Code Subdivision Regulations, providing for corrections, penalties, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Could I please have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Campbell. Do I hear-
Second.
A second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for council discussion? No discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Mayor Lord,
Aye.
passes 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll go to item C. The last item is to receive the Henry and Horn 2011-2012 Annual Audit Report. Larry Lang, present.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. And it is with great pleasure that I present the 2012 Audit Report to you this evening. Since it's about 185 pages, I will not go through each of it page by page at a request. I want to talk about two parts of the process first, very briefly. The first part of the process was the substantive work done by our staff in preparing for the audit and by the auditors. The timing and the staffing levels this year got extremely difficult, and I especially want to commend the auditors and commend Teresa Sims for the work that they did to complete this. Teresa actually spent most of the month of September and October preparing for this audit while short 2 staff people, and she was able to complete it successfully. I also, in connection with that, want to introduce Marilyn Mays. Marilyn is the partner with Henry and Horn that managed this audit process this year and did a phenomenal job going through there. I'm going to describe the audit to you for those of you that haven't had the pleasure to come down and witness the audit process. Marilyn brings her stormtroopers, or four of them that come with her. They come in mass and are holed up in one of our conference rooms, and none of us can move until they get all the information they need, and they spend a week in there just intense field work, and the second week is developing parts of this report that are before you. The second half I pass along. All of you are aware of this, but it's really for the public's benefit of why we don't go through this audit much more in depth tonight. The City of Goodyear has an audit committee that's very actively involved in the audit process. The audit committee consists of Vice Mayor Osborne, Councilmember Pizzillo, and Councilmember Stipp. Audit committee met with the auditors in June, I believe it was, towards the end of June, outlined certain criterion that they wanted to see in the audit process. And then the next meeting of the audit committee was December 3rd, where the audit committee had about a week to review this report and went through in considerably more depth some of the questions that came up in the report. So this is a process that you and your representatives in the audit committee, the city manager also does serve on the audit committee. This is a part of a process that I think we get a much more thorough review of our financial statements and of our audit report at your level than many cities are blessed with. And for that, I thank you. With that, I would like to turn over to Marilyn Mays for a few comments that she has.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Council. Henry and Horn did perform the audit of the 2012 financial statements, and we have issued an unqualified opinion on those financial statements, which is an unqualified opinion is often referred to as a clean opinion. The auditing standards do require that we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Our audit does support the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects, and the respective financial position of the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining funds. Like Larry said, you do have a comprehensive annual financial report, which goes above and beyond just plain financial statements. You actually have an introductory section, you have statistical section, and you also have a single audit section included in your comprehensive annual financial report. The last section of the CAFR is what we call the single audit section, and that is the annual audit on your federal funds. We have actually issued 2 reports there. One of them is the report on internal controls over financial reporting, and the other one is a report on the compliance of your federal programs, and in both cases they are clean opinions. We did find no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses dealing with the internal controls of the City of Goodyear. And with that, I'm finished, unless you've got any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Okay, with that, could I hear a motion, please? And a second?
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for council discussion.
Mayor, I just wanted
Vice Mayor?
to thank you. I just wanted to say hello to Marilyn and apologize because I was not able to attend our December meeting, and so I did not get to say hello. Thank you for all your hard work, and Teresa Sims, thank you for all yours. I know that this was a lot to do, and I appreciate your findings being good again. Thank you.
Councilman Pizzillo.
Again, as a member of the audit committee, I appreciate the time you spent going through and even some of our requests asking you to do some sampling on specific issues that you did for us. One of the things that kind of struck me, at least from a financial standpoint, is in your summaries, and I appreciate you putting that piece in there, some highlights. Our general fund, if I'm not mistaken, is about, what, 1 point some odd million greater than what it was this time last year, I guess July 1. And also struck me that I appreciated was our long-term debt if I'm not mistaken, dropped $13 million. So again, heading in that direction is the thing that I like to see, and that's why I was so big on that ballpark debt setting up. So again, thank you for the time, and I appreciate you spending the time going through that with us. Thank you.
Well, as a mayor, I want to say thank you very much for the explanations. It certainly helps the public. I thought it was very understandable, and so we do appreciate that. And of course, you have to really revert this back to our finance department because they are the ones that have been, producing the budget. And the budget book, as you know, has some excellent explanations. And Larry, I know I don't think I'm off subject on this, but just somebody in your department worked really hard on some of those explanations to the public. And I just had a private conversation with you, so if you could just show that. And I mean, it was so understandable, and so many of the responses were actually responses to questions that had been asked by citizens in the past year. And so it's so definable. I just can't imagine that we're going to have the questions that we had because it's in simple language. Thank you very much. So please comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And the budget and the comprehensive annual financial report go very hand in hand. In fact, if this looks familiar to you, this was the budget cover book. The same exact cover was used for the same fiscal year to show that these two do work well together. I think Terry Canada has done an excellent job in her presentations of trying to outline the issues with you and keep them simple. And likewise, within this report, and I think that's what Mayor Lord and I were visiting about earlier, there are two sections in there. There's an introductory letter where we highlight the fiscal year, and then there's one that's called Management's Discussion and Analysis. And that's an attempt by us to try to make the 190 pages a little bit easy to read, but yet within the accounting standards that we are required to comply with. And so I appreciate, and Teresa Sims drafted that this year and did an excellent job with that. I appreciate the efforts of all of our staff, and I appreciate your acknowledging those efforts.
Did you have Councilman Stepp? You had some? No, he didn't. Okay. Any other questions before we all vote? We all set? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, thank you very much. It was so nice to see you again. Okay. Huh?
I thought he was going.
No, she insisted you haven't talked yet, so I thought, did I miss you? Information items. Does council have any comments or reports to make? Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just a couple. I wanted to really give a shout out to a young man at Desert Edge who's a senior. He was in my youth leadership Y12 program, and I just found out that he has been accepted and appointed to the Naval Academy, and I'm very proud of our Goodyear boy for that. And I wanted to thank all the citizens that have stepped up to give a lot of donations for the Homeless Youth Connection for this Christmas season. It's been very helpful and very generous to a lot of people out there. And also attended the shop. I went to the meeting of Shop with the Cop Saturday morning to see all the kids, and Wally Campbell and her group of ladies at Pebble Creek really did a great job of raising funds for that program. And our police department, thank you so much. It's a terrific thing you do for these kids. Then I was in the Litchfield Park Parade, the holiday parade, and also my very first time this Sunday attending a Hanukkah lighting. I've never menorah menorah lighting. That was really a really exciting event to have in our city.
Great.
That's all. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Just so you all know, this Thursday, the Chamber is having their quarterly meeting, and it's at the zoo, 7:30 in the morning. Just FYI.
That's nice. Yeah. Any other comments? Councilman Campbell?
Well, I is someone going to mention the employee?
The report what?
Well, no, I'll let you do that. Well, I wanted to talk about Shop with a Cop. Shop with a Cop is mainly funded by a home tour that is done in Pebble Creek, and we've done it for 16 years.
Wow.
And I've been on the committee for the last 9 years and chair for the last 7 years. And this is something that's very dear to our hearts, and we raise the money for the officers to be able to take these children that are needy and would not necessarily have a Christmas. And I did want to share that one of the fathers of one of our participants wanted to know how his child got chosen, and I told him the process that the police department used, and he said, "You can't imagine what this means to me and my family, because we have been struggling all year and we would not have had a Christmas without this." And he said, "You just need to know how important and how touched we are and how we thank you." And that says it all, because those children were wonderful and they had such a good time. And we've already started working on next year's tour. We've set the date, and we have 4 of the 8 homes already secured. But this is something that we work on all year round, and it's something that's ongoing, and we hope we're able to support it forever.
Well, it's really rewarding when you're there and watching
Oh,
it and
yeah.
watching the children, and you're absolutely right. And it's amazing to me whenever it happens that the children are very concerned about their parents, and many times they give up their gift to buy something from their parents or their brother and sister. So it is very emotional.
We
so.
missed you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
I know you were there in spirit,
I was
but
there
we
in
missed
spirit,
you.
yes. And I'll tell you in a moment where I was. Bill, did you have anything to talk about? You were at the Hanukkah celebration.
Yes, I did. It was as the vice mayor and I were attached at the hip almost all week. Same events. Mayor, you and I attended the grand reopening of the new Wendy's on Tuesday night. Desert Edge marching band once again was present there in our community. It seems for every event, and it's really
and they improve with each performance.
yeah, they surely do. But we have a very unique Wendy's now, which is perfect for our uniqueness of our community. So we attended that, and then Friday, all of us were at the employee appreciation event. I hope we're going to hear who the employee of the year is tonight. Because that's usually something that I was kind of opening my email this morning, going, "Who was it?"
So yell, "Come on down!" Is that
It was a great.
We will be
great,
covering that.
all right, it was a great event, and to celebrate our citizen satisfaction is directly related to the quality of our employees, and not what the 7. No offense, but not what the 7 of us are doing. It's what those folks do every day, and that's. That definitely something to celebrate. So,
Great. Councilman Loretano?
I don't have too much to add, but the 2 events that I thought were really special, and I did miss the employee because I had to work. Unfortunately, I tried to get down here, but I couldn't get down here by 5, so I apologize. But Wally Campbell and her group of those women, the kids, I mean, these are kids that it's just, some of them were so shy, and seeing the cops and everyone just really reach out to them and everything, and that just was one of my that's like one of the best things, that and the menorah lighting, and it's so nice to see such diversity in our community, and they had a really great magician, I have to say.
And I'd like to add to that they had and I don't know what his rank is, but they had the chaplain from the base.
Yes.
And to see, pardon me? Lieutenant Colonel, thank you. And to see him say a prayer, and then to see the chanting of the rabbi, it was pretty extraordinary. And I will give the rabbi credit. He is certainly bringing the community together and building his the future temple in Goodyear. Yes, Councilman Pizzillo.
And again, I was at the menorah lighting, but comment I wanted to make on the employee appreciation. Is a lot of times, and again, you guys did a great job on recognizing the employees, and I noticed the employees, even with Shop with a Cop and a lot of the other charity events, whether it's Guns and Hoses and et cetera, give a lot of their time to the community. And one of the things is we had that 50-50 raffle was going to hospice. How much did that raise, do you know?
Yes, that was going to be part of my
Okay,
report.
you
to
can.
talk a little bit
I'll save
more
your
detail
thunder when
about
you
that.
get in there.
Give him something to say tonight. Come
No,
on.
that's fine. But again, just a tip of the hat and a shout out to the employees for giving them your time, and not only that, our community, because I recall the last time I saw the numbers, over 25,000 hours of volunteer service by our citizens, from a variety of things to VIPs, helping in the police, to the ballpark, et cetera. So again, to me, that's what makes Goodyear itself just a great community. So, and I'm looking forward to that report. Thank you.
Councilwoman Barber, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I do. Just a couple of things. I wanted to thank all of the staff for setting up the tours for me to check out the water plant, the wastewater plant on Wednesday. Very informative. I'm very impressed, and it was fascinating. So thank you very much. I think the employee appreciation event was fantastic. I think it really showed the wonderful spirit that we have here in Goodyear. It was very fun, and I echo Councilmember Pizzillo's comments about the 50-50 raffle, and I thought it was a wonderful idea for the proceeds to go to a hospice in memory of Gary Gelzer. And finally, kudos to Councilmember Campbell and all the fine folks there in Pebble Creek for the Shop with a Cop event. The smiles on the children's faces were priceless, and I think it's one more event where our police department can put a positive face and have a positive interaction with our citizens. And the parade at Litchfield Park was so much fun. My daughter attended with me, and we just had a fantastic time. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm the last, but I'll talk. I want to thank Vice Mayor Osborne for being the mayor from December 5th through the 8th. And I wasn't AWOL. I actually was out on a PR mission for the city. I visited Ohio with the staff, Cleveland and Cincinnati, with the ultimate goal of going to the Red Fest in Cincinnati. But I met with both team owners. I was on in both cities several radio programs and several TV programs doing interviews and promoting our Goodyear Ballpark and reaching out to the Ohio citizens and letting them know that they're a part of Goodyear community now, and we think of them as part of our family and part of our city. And so kind of advertising when the ballpark starts, when the first game is, and how much, about the tickets when they can purchase those online, and just getting a good feel of the city. And they took me, of course, both places. I went on tour of the stadium. And in Cincinnati, the highlight was seeing their museum. And I have to tell you, and you know that I'm learning about baseball and to love it because football and that was my love. But anybody going to Cincinnati and seeing that museum, I recommend it for your children, for your relatives. It was the most. Who would think that a baseball museum to me would be that great and that interesting? But it is wonderful, and so it is a real draw to their to their fans. And let me tell you, they know how to produce fans in Cleveland and Cincinnati. And so one of my goal happens to be now is that we need to produce a good fan group here in Goodyear and organize it the way they do and maybe have some kind of fest and just add to that because I think we could do more. So anyway, it was just a great time, and at the Reds Fest, it was very interesting. I was behind the booth with the staff handing out things. And believe it or not, I couldn't believe that people watch TV during the day and hear radio programs during the day. People kept coming up to me and saying, "Are you that blonde mayor that was on TV that we saw today?" So it was very interesting. I got a lot of comments, and we got a lot of positive really reinforcement on our city and how they feel welcomed of those that attended the games last year. Many of them came up and said they were going to attend again, and we did produce a lot more interest the booth did by their dialogue. Staff did a great job talking to people and getting them information on Goodyear and giving them Goodyear articles that we were giving away. So anyway, it was very beneficial, and I just thank you, City Manager, for arranging that trip for me. It was just great. So, and of course, thank you all for attending things I couldn't attend this week, okay? Now, I'm going to manager. We've been waiting for that report, so it's over to you.
Mayor, members of the council, thank you. Did talk about Shop with a Cop, and we'll get some more details out on that, but awesome event. And Councilmember Campbell, certainly you and your team were a great part of that. You'll be getting an update from me that goes into a little bit more detail, just so you have some other folks to recognize as well. But it's a bit long for presentation tonight. I do want to, and it was recognized as our annual employee appreciation event. We do it annually, once a year. We close City Hall for an afternoon, and it was held over at the Goodyear Ballpark. It's a special time to recognize the efforts of our staff, and I could not agree more. When we have a 94% acceptance rate of our citizens when we did the survey about a year ago, that speaks highly of what the staff, how they perform their duties. But I would also say, and Councilmember Stipp, it's a direct reflection on the support that we get from council through policy, through budget, et cetera. And the fact that council was there at this event, I think, spoke highly of the support, and the employees definitely felt it. I do want to hit a couple of points on this, and that is we always have a theme, and this year it was The Place is Right, because we don't apologize for the fact that we're very proud of Goodyear, and we feel like we are The Place is Right, but it was a kind of a work off of The Price is Right, and we did some games with it, just really to have some interactions. We also had an opportunity to thank the employees, as well as recognize those that earned the annual award. And I have a couple I'll go through, actually about 10 of them real quickly. We had some what we called fun awards this year, and this was a vote by the employees, and they did several of them. Most inspirational was Cindy Sheldon. Most likely to make someone laugh, Fernando Camacho. I know you know a lot of these folks, so when you see them, and this will be in my report back to you. Most positive attitude, Othel Tim Newbill. Most likely to be a good Samaritan, Veronica Olguin. Most innovative, Tanika Smith, who was back in Ohio and a new employee. And most likely to help a coworker was my own Mary Wilhite. The employees of the year, and how this works is you have areas within the city, and the functional areas, we had police, and that employee of the year was Jeff Rogers. Fire was Mario Santos. Support services, it was Tim Fisher, who is our safety guy. We call him in the HR area. It's just infected a lot of us with his safety. And we have dropped our lost times appreciably, and just a lot of hard work there. Parks and Recreation, Wayne Martin. Development Services, Katie Wilkin. Engineering, Bill Conroy. And the area of Public Works, Environmental Services, Municipal Services was Adam Kurtz, and that was for his efforts on the sanitation. So those were the folks that were specifically recognized. But the other thing, and going back to the 50-50 raffle, the idea this year, and as was stated by council members, it was to provide half the proceeds to it was to Hospice of the Valley, and it was $2,003 that were raised. This is all employees. Not a dime of the city went into this, so all the employees came up with $2,003, of which half went to the winner, Mr. Mark Flynn, but the rest of it was in Gary Gelser's honor. And we had an opportunity to talk about some of his accomplishments here. It was a little bit emotional. But when we had an opportunity to just applaud Gary for the efforts that he had at the city, it was unscripted. There was no provocation on my part, and the employees stood up, standing ovation in Gary's honor. right as we were doing finished the raffle drawing. So a lot of support for his efforts that he gave here, and definitely was appreciated by the employees. So we have a lot of other folks that we'll send to council as far as that were the brains behind this, primarily Anna Dezak and Amy Lindsay, but many others. So too many to mention, and we'll get that and report to you. So when you see them, as you often do in your wanderings, be happy or if you could recognize them as well. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there any staff summary to follow up?
I do not have any. I believe there were some questions during the work session, certainly about social media, how we can perhaps use that as an opportunity. And then the other was on water. And by the way, we'll be hitting that in a work session end of January, 1st of February, talking specifically about our infrastructure. We're in good shape under the leadership of Jack Friedline and many others as support cast. Where we're headed with staying ahead of the curve, we're excited about, and we'll be talking about that as we finalize the details and our modeling and those types of things. But it will be, water is very important, and we need to stay ahead of the curve on it.
Thank you. All right, the next meeting is a work session, which will be held on January 7th, 2012. Oh, 2013.
We do have one next Monday.
Oh, we have one next Monday.
Next Monday.
I'm sorry. You told me to correct that, and I didn't, did I? Well, all right. So next Monday, we'll have a work session at 5 p.m. Before, we have a special meeting following this, but before we go, this is the last time until for a while. No, we will be one more time, but it's only a work session, isn't it? We don't
also have a special meeting after the work session.
A work session, but it isn't so not many people listen to that work session like they do a regular meeting. So I'm just going to say at this time, I wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a happy Hanukkah. Because I'm sure at that date next week, there are people who are going to be out Christmas shopping and finishing everything at the last minute, and they're not going to be listening to our council meetings. So anyways, anybody else? Are you disappointed? Well, anyway, so at this time, we're going to adjourn this business meeting and go to our special meeting. Meeting adjourned. I'd like to call to order Monday, December 10th, 2012. Everybody is present. Well, actually, Jen will not be in on this, so do we have to do a motion to excuse her from the special meeting or not?
You have to do a motion and a vote for the language on the, you have to read that and then to do a roll call vote to go into e-session.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm asking about.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Barber.
It's a regular meeting. You can excuse her.
Okay, so don't have to vote on that, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Councilman Barber will not be attending this meeting. Do I hear a motion to excuse her?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? I heard a motion from Councilman Stiff and a second from Vice Mayor Osborne. Councilman Loretano, was that her? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. I would like a motion and a second to go into executive session for discussion and consultation for legal advice with the attorney or attorneys of a public body for legal advice and direction on the following litigation matters: Terry Woodmansee versus City of Goodyear, John Rowan versus the City of Goodyear. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Vice Mayor Osborne, a second from Councilman Pizzillo. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Osborne?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell? Aye. Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. Well, now the special meeting will now reconvene, and I think there's some people that want to take just a moment break. Can we do that? All right.